Well, good morning, and here we are again. To all of our students, parents and carers and members of our community who are joining us this morning for this update from Caroline Chisholm College. It's great that you could join us. And just half an hour ago, we heard from the New South Wales Premier about the situation in Greater Sydney, and we understand that the lockdown that was meant to end on Friday will continue until at least next Friday. So the purpose of this brief information session is really to share with you the plans that we have for remote learning for next week. And most importantly, I suppose, to give you an opportunity to ask questions that, if I can, I'll be able to answer live during this session. We've got our partnerships manager, Nikki, standing by with the ability to communicate those questions to me so that I'm able to, by the end of this session, hopefully answer as many of those as I can. So to begin with, here's what we know so far. Our focus at the college always has been on supporting the well-being and the learning of our students. That is our most important priority and continues to be as we face the uncertainty of the next week. And we know that there will be no face-to-face learning happening at the college all of next week. I can also share with you, if you haven't read the update that was sent out via school bag, that Monday, the 12th of July, is scheduled as a professional learning day across the diocese and across Greater Metropolitan Sydney in state schools as well. This is an opportunity for us to prepare for what will be a different way of learning from Tuesday to Friday at least. So on Monday, there'll be no scheduled face-to-face timetabled lessons at all. That doesn't mean that that time needs to necessarily be wasted. For our Year 12s in particular, the lockdown presents an opportunity for you to do some really focused work. And I know that even today we have Year 12s here at the college who are working on their visual arts major works, and we will have our dance students coming into the school on Monday to work on their dance major works. If students in Year 12 have made arrangements with their teachers to come to the college on Monday, then that's quite okay. They will need to, of course, be very careful if they're travelling on public transport. Masks are mandatory for anyone travelling on public transport during this lockdown and even prior to that. So make sure that you are wearing a mask if you're coming to school by public transport. And if you've made arrangements with your teachers to be here, then you can be here on Monday. For everyone else, if there are families who need their daughters to come to school so that they can be supervised, the school will be open and supervision will be available for those students. So even though there won't be timetable lessons on Monday, there will be supervision available at the college all day Monday during regular school hours. And as far as I understand, the bus companies will be running their regular bus routes, including the school special bus routes to the college. So that supervision is applicable to every day next week. If you're in a situation as an essential worker and you need to go to work and you would prefer to have your daughters learning at school rather than at home, then supervision will be available to them. I need to stress, however, that supervision will be not provided by their regular classroom teachers and that we won't be running a regular classroom timetable for the students who are at school. They'll be here in this building with a range of teachers, probably not their own, and they'll be engaged in their lessons using their devices. But they will be supervised all day, including at break times. So for parents who are concerned next week about how they're to go about their business or to attend their essential work, you can certainly send your daughters here and they will be looked after. It is the intention of the public health orders, however, for people to remain at home wherever possible. And so that is our intention as well, which is why I have instructed our teachers to stay at home if they can stay at home. So the regular teachers won't be here on site for regular lessons. Now, our plan for timetabled lessons is quite different from the last time that we did remote learning here at the college. This year, we will be running our timetable. That means that we will be expecting every student to attend their lessons according to their timetable using their devices. This means that using Google Classroom, they will receive a link from their teacher to their teacher's Zoom room. They'll click on that link and enter that Zoom room at the beginning of the lesson. And the Google Classroom will have an indication of what time that should be, just in case our students have forgotten over the holidays. Upon entering the Zoom lesson, they'll be there with their regular teacher, and the regular teacher will set up the learning for that period. Now, I know that last time we were in lockdown, some parents told me that they were concerned about their daughters being with their devices all day, every day, and I understand that concern. Our computers are a really important way of keeping in contact with each other, and so there will be use of computers over the coming week. But what I've said to the teachers is that the Zoom lesson should really be just for the first 10 minutes of that scheduled period, just long enough for students to touch base with their teacher and with each other in the class, and to receive their instructions and support from their teacher. And then generally it'll be the case that the teacher will have allocated the task for the lesson, and the students then can leave the Zoom and go on with their learning. Some of that will use a computer, and some of that will use old-fashioned pen and paper. But it will be for the beginning of the lesson that we need students to be present in their classes. Now, this is something that we learned, a lesson that we learned in 2020, that while we understood that students were really capable of getting into their learning, they weren't quite as competent as we thought they were at organising their time and at managing their schedule. And so we hope that by putting a schedule in place and following our regular school schedule, it might support those students who last year really had difficulty in keeping up with what was going on in class. If you do have concerns with your daughter's technology, and I know we've already got a question from one parent about their daughter getting onto Zoom, then if they were to use the link on the CCC Learning site to get tech support, then someone from tech support will be able to contact your daughter via email in the first instance, and by phone if necessary, to talk them through whatever problem that they might be having. So if your daughter goes to CCC Learning and clicks on the support tab, they'll be able to get in contact with someone from our IT team. So as I said, they won't be sitting in front of their computers all of the time, but at the beginning of every lesson, they will be touching base with their teachers using Zoom. Now, for Year 12 students in particular, I want to speak to those students who are engaged in practical subjects. That's design and technology, music, drama, dance, visual arts. I apologise if I've forgotten any others. NESA, the standards authority that run the HSC, have told us that all of those assessment programs for those major work components of those subjects are going ahead as normal. And so your teachers will be in touch with you to facilitate your learning that will continue in those subjects. And sometimes that will mean coming into school this week by arrangement with your teacher. As I said earlier, our visual arts students are already here on site working on their major works. And so that's been great to see those works progressing. And I know that some music, dance and drama students have also been in at school. For other Year 12 students, I'm really thinking about you. I emailed you yesterday. I hope that Year 12s have checked their email to give you some information about how we're going to support you this week. It's really important that Year 12s stick to those scheduled lessons, that they touch base with their teachers. And most importantly, our trial HSC program is going ahead in week 3 as was originally planned. So there are no changes to those plans at the moment. That means our students' preparations for those exams need to be continuing. As I said to the girls before we finished for the winter break, the best form of preparation for those exams is to have a plan and stick to it, and to practice HSC style questions and to get feedback from their teachers. If you need support, then please reach out to your teachers, and they're only too happy to work with you. So I thought I would also share with you the information that I've given to our teaching staff, because obviously they're wanting to do the best job that they can in supporting the girls from Year 7 right through to Year 12. We understand that remote learning is complex, that if you're part of a big family and that there's demand on resources and IT in the home, or that your internet connection isn't as strong as you would like it to be, there will be challenges this week. And so I've told our teachers to be understanding of that, to be really open to the fact that things may not go smoothly as we flip into remote learning again. And so what I've said to the teachers is that we would like them to set a minimum expectation for what should be achieved each day in the learning, a minimum expectation that all girls should be able to achieve given the time available for those lessons. And then beyond that minimum, the sorts of open-ended or extension work that students can continue with if they've managed to complete the minimum expectation. The best way that families can support their daughters to do this is at home to put some routines in place. That means that even though the mornings are chilly, we need to be setting alarms in the morning and getting up on time, getting out of pajamas and into day clothes, and being prepared at the beginning of the day to work on our lessons in the schedule that's set out in the school timetable. It also means to find a space in the home that can be reasonably quiet so that the girls can get some focused work done. Now, I've been working from home this week, and my children and my wife are also working from home. And so we're working out of whatever quiet corners we can find with headphones and earphones plugged into our computers so as not to disturb each other. And it's working so far. It might require a bit of negotiation, particularly if mum or dad are at home trying to conduct their business in one corner of the house, and siblings maybe at other schools trying to conduct their learning from other corners of the house. But putting some expectations in place, putting some routines and some parameters around what's okay will support the girls to continue with their work, and maybe working as a family so that everyone knows what's required of each person. So having those ready to go for Monday would be a really good idea. So when the alarm goes off at 7 o'clock on Monday morning, our students, your daughters, aren't surprised and disappointed that some routines are going back to normal. Another point that I need to make about that is that we have expectations for how the girls engage when they're on Zoom. They need to be dressed appropriately, and they need to be in the sort of part of the house where they can share with their classmates and with their teacher. Now, last year during lockdown, we had to ask some students to leave our Zoom classrooms because either they were dressed inappropriately or, believe it or not, they were in their classroom whilst in bed. That's just not appropriate, and it's not acceptable. And so if students try and join their classes and the teachers notice that they're in their pajamas, or they notice that they're in their bed, the teacher will switch off their camera and ask them to move to a different part of the house. And it would be a great help to our teachers if parents can establish those expectations as well. Just the same as we wouldn't allow students to wander into class in their pajamas, nor would we want teachers to see their students' bedrooms. That's not okay. And so please make sure that your daughters are prepared for their lessons by being in a part of the house that's appropriate and that they're dressed for the day. You know, some schools have insisted that their students wear school uniform for remote Zooms. We're not going to ask our girls to do that, but we will ask that they dress appropriately in day clothes, not in pajamas. So your help with that would be greatly appreciated. Now, we have a question about our Year 12 students who don't have major work. Can they come to school? Absolutely they can. This is your school, and we want you here if that's where you think you're going to learn best this week. And the whole school is open, and we will have people here to supervise. And so if Year 12s believe that this is the best place for them, they can find an area of North Block where they can get their work done. They can use the senior common microwave and fridge for their food and the hot water service. And so absolutely, year 11 and 12, you're welcome to come in and do your learning from school if that suits you better. As I said at the beginning, the school is open for all of our students to come in if it's the best place for them. The general principle, of course, from the New South Wales government is we're trying to cut down the number of people out in the community. And home is the best place for people during the lockdown. And that was the clear message from the Premier this morning. Nikki, do we have any other questions coming in? Okay. Please send your questions in the next couple of minutes because we're going to wrap up now. I wanted to finish by saying that we know that this is a stressful time for a lot of our students. Some of our students who live with disabilities and who are used to getting support while they're at school, we'll be reaching out to those students and their families to make sure that those girls have what they need to continue their learning this week. And if they do come into school, then we will have our teachers' aides available here to work particularly with those girls. So that's a reassurance I particularly wanted to give to our parents of students with disabilities or students with diverse learning needs. So be assured that the support continues this week, whether at home or at school. And maybe school might be the best place for those girls because our learning support team will all be here on site. So that's that. If you have concerns about your daughter's well-being or welfare, please reach out to your daughter's year leader. They will be working all week and they can support you in supporting your daughters. We know that not all of our students have great mental health and that sometimes these situations that are quite different put pressure on people's mental health. Even the healthiest people find these situations stressful. So if you're concerned about your daughters, please send an email to your daughter's year leader or any of the teachers at the college, anyone that your daughter has a good relationship with. Please reach out and we'll make sure that we get in touch to give the support that your daughter may need through the coming week. Now, if students are coming to school, then yes, you will be wearing your school uniform. We need you to be identified as school students coming to school. And so once you're here, you will be in school uniform. And when you are in your Zoom classes, for the beginning of the lesson, when you come into the Zoom room, your mics and cameras will automatically be switched off. That's our setting. Your teacher will ask you to turn those on for the marking of the roll, and then your teacher will determine if the cameras need to be on or off and if the microphones need to be on or off. But to begin with, they're all off. Then for roll call, they're all on, and then the teacher will give instructions after that. Another question, will teachers be online available to students for the entire lesson? Absolutely. So our lessons here go for 50 minutes. Most of them during the middle of the day are doubles. The teachers will be available for that full time. So they are available for your daughters. The Zoom room will be kept open. So either via email or jumping back into the Zoom room is a way that students can remain in contact with their teachers. So we're trying to make this week as normal as possible under these crazy circumstances. And so that whole lesson time, the teachers will be available to the girls. Now, if there's a question about homeroom in the morning, the assistant principals and I are just working on that today, and we'll be emailing all the students a set of protocols tomorrow that will guide their behaviour next week from home and from school. And so we'll have information in that email about our expectations with regards to homeroom. So students, please look out for that email. We'll send it out via school bag to parents as well. And that email will be a set of expectations for next week for how learning and behaviour and so on will be managed next week. A good question here, what if my study space is in my bedroom? Then that's okay. If you're at your desk and you're ready to work, then that's perfectly fine. The concern that I have from last year was students literally in their bed with their computer. That's what I'm saying is not okay. So that's a good question, whoever asked that. Thank you for clarifying. Now, we have some students joining us via Zoom who are beginning their life at Chisholm next week. Imagine that. I really feel for our new students who had their enrolment interviews last term, really looking forward to starting their career as Chisholm students next week. I'm really sorry that that hasn't gone according to plan. What we've arranged for those new students, and Mrs. Chester will be in touch with those families directly, is for you to come in on Monday of next week. We'd like you to come in at a time that Mrs. Chester will arrange, so you'll receive an email from her. And we will get your computer set up for our systems so that you can use Zoom and so on. And your teachers have been informed that you're new to the school, and we'll be conducting a Zoom introduction to your classes so that you get to meet your classmates via Zoom. And it's not ideal, and I'm very sorry that we can't welcome you the way that we'd really like to, but we'll try and make it as positive an experience for you as we possibly can. So Mrs. Chester will be in touch with those families. And you will get that all set up on Monday. So IT will be available on Monday to sort that out with you. There've been some really terrific questions. I'm so glad that I was able to answer most of them. Please look out for that email tomorrow. It's a really important one that will just put those guidelines around how learning can best proceed next week, whether students are attending because they require supervision or whether they're learning from home. So that'll go to students and to parents and carers as well. I want to finish by thanking the parents and carers, as always, for your partnership with us. It means a great deal to me to work in a community where we are so trusted to look after your daughters and to accompany them in this really tricky journey through the pandemic. We stand ready, as always, to support you. You know how to get in touch with us, and I'm glad that you do. As I said earlier, if you have any concerns or questions, it doesn't matter who you reach out to here at the school. We have 100 people on staff, about 73 or 4 teachers, about 25 support staff. It doesn't matter which one of us you reach out to, we will get you the support that you need to make sure that your daughters are okay. And that's our commitment that we've always had. And it becomes critically important at times like this when things don't go according to plan. So my thoughts and prayers are with our community as we struggle through this lockdown. It has an impact on all sorts of people in all sorts of ways. I pray that you are keeping safe. There are new guidelines coming out about masks that I'll be able to put into tomorrow's email. It's likely that we won't have to wear masks inside the school building during learning time, but our support staff will have to in the offices. It's one of those little inconsistencies, but there'll be details about that. Anything else that we can do for you, please email the school and we'll make sure that we get those answers to you. And if you email them today, then they can be incorporated in our email that gets sent out to the whole community tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe, certainly stay warm on these chilly days, and we look forward to things returning to some sort of normality very, very soon. Again, thank you for joining us this morning, and God bless you all.